This is 7 News, the voice of the Riverina.
Good evening. The public is being asked to give its feedback on paramedics wearing body cameras for safety reasons.
The one-year trial is due to end this week, but may become permanent to prevent violence against first responders.
Violence on the job is unfortunately something all too common for those working for New South Wales Ambulance.
It is something that we do see quite regularly.
That's why paramedics in Wagga have been given the option to wear body cameras, part of a new trial aimed at preventing occupational violence.
The cameras are used as just an extra de-escalation tool on top of what already our training is.
The trial run by New South Wales Ambulance is evaluated and studied by researchers at Charles Sturt University.
We've been collecting a range of different types of data. We've been doing surveys with paramedics, we've been doing interviews with paramedics, we've explored other stakeholders and other users of the system. So far, the year-long trial has had mixed feedback.
People have used it as a de-escalation tool and it's worked quite successfully. We have had a couple of incidences where it hasn't worked, but I don't think there's any instances that I know of at Wagga where it's made the situation worse.
The public survey asks anyone who's over 18 who have had experience with paramedics wearing the cameras to provide feedback.
We're looking for opinions, positive, negative or indifferent, basically.
The trial wraps up this Thursday with the results set to be released early next year. Jacinta Coonahan, 7 News.
Businesses along Bayless Street are still recovering from the massive storm that came through over the weekend. It's been a problem before, with gutters filling up, leaving a soggy mess inside.
The downpour could not have come at a worse time for local business Cobbler Road.
At this time of year when we're trying to help customers out with Christmas, we're trying to help them save and get our workload out for them in time for Christmas, then we have to do a clean up and there's still more rain coming.
At around 1:30 on Saturday afternoon, the shop was inundated with rain, rushing through the roof and filling the shoe repair business up with water.
We had little kids in the shop screaming, they were crying because they were getting rained on, they didn't know what was happening.
The downpour continued for around 40 minutes, leaving a major mess behind.
Obviously pots, wood pots and all that got damaged, leather bags got damaged, so we're still sorting through how much costs we're up for at this stage.
Cobbler Road weren't the only ones. Many businesses along Bayless Street experienced similar issues, including Kitson's Property, who just redid their shop.
The front of the building, especially in our new waiting room and customer waiting rooms and clientele rooms, substantial amount of water. I'd say probably 5 or 6 mils of water flooded the area. Cot
makers Wagga, who are new to the strip, shocked at the rain's intensity.
It was not how I like to spend my day off, that's for sure.
It's believed one of the causes of the shop's inundation is blocked gutters from the overhanging trees.
It did turn out the box gutting was substantially blocked from, unfortunately, some of these trees that are along the main street that, block up, I guess, all the gutters.
And it compacts in the box guttering and it turns to clay, essentially.
While the clear skies have provided a reprieve, there could be more rain tomorrow and Wednesday. Jacinta Coonahan, 7 News.
Well, staying on the weather, it's time now to check in with Kirsty. And Kirsty, as we just heard, that huge downpour on Saturday, but today, fine, sunny and quite warm.
Yeah, that's right, Nick and Maddie. Hello to you both and good evening, everyone. It has been a relatively dry and sunny start to the working week following those heavy showers through Saturday afternoon and evening. Skies were mostly clear right across the Riverina this morning. Some light patchy cloud moving through around midday. Winds were light and temperatures the high 20s about Gundagai and Wagga, the low 30s for Narrandera and for Lockhart, where winds were gusty during the afternoon. Young and Grenfell also reached maximums of 30 degrees today. A cloudy night is on the forecast though. There is a chance of storms with wet weather on the forecast tomorrow. Heavy showers are likely into the evening over the next 48 hours. We could even see the chance of severe thunderstorms delivering some flash flooding. I'll have that full forecast though a little later on.
Thanks, Kirsty. We'll get more weather soon. Arson detectives are appealing for information into a suspicious fire which destroyed a service station near Gundagai in September. Riverina Police District established a crime scene before the State Crime Command took over under Strike Force Dost. Marla Summer joins us now with the latest. And Marla, what more can you tell us?
Nick, police are appealing to speak with a man who was seen walking into the service station just minutes before the fire. It is believed he was travelling on a white Toyota Prado. About 10 p.m. on Tuesday, the 5th of September, emergency services were called to a service station in Coolac. Fire and Rescue New South Wales extinguished the blaze, which caused extensive damage to the property. The inferno took more than 3 hours to bring under control. Detectives are also appealing to speak to any truck drivers that may have been staying the night at the service station. Investigations into Strikeforce Dosed are continuing, and anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Nick.
OK, thanks for the update, Marla. That's Marla Summer reporting for us tonight.
A parliamentary hearing has begun into the feasibility of undergrounding power lines for the massive HumeLink renewable energy project. It's heard that putting the lines underground instead of overhead is much cheaper than first thought.
It's been 2 months since farmers opposing HumeLink's overhead power lines lost their fight, but now a parliamentary committee is discussing whether overhead lines are indeed the best and cheapest option.
Government used their numbers previously to block a lot of the evidence from being considered in the report.
The new Select Committee had its first hearing in Parliament. Experts were invited to the bench to deep dive into previous evidence, including details on cost.
However, that there will be cases where the additional capital costs of using underground cables can be justified, considering the benefits that could be realised at that particular location or for that particular project.
The HumeLink project will connect the Snowy 2.0 to the grid and ensure an increase of renewable energy to New South Wales. Undergrounding is the preference for local communities who are concerned about bushfire risks and environmental impacts that come with overhead lines.
They're trying to push this, it's too late to do it now. As Dr. Joe McGurr said in the last inquiry, it is never too late.
The member for Wagga is backing residents.
The estimates now are about 1.5 times the cost. That's not 10 times the cost, which was what everyone originally thought of. It's 1.5 times the cost. But you know, the transmission of the energy is faster and more efficient.
The committee remains dedicated to determining the right solution, not the cheapest.
What we want to do now is use this time to test the evidence, to see whether there is a more viable, a more cost-effective way of undergrounding these lines.
Marla Summer, 7 News.
The federal government has struck a deal with the Greens that will see less water for farming and more for the environment. The deal will allow for more water buybacks, that is, buying a farmer's licence to pump water from a river. The water is then used for environmental flows. Local irrigators say the deal only adds to fears for the future.
It's getting to the point now where I'm just asking myself, do these people think the fairies are going to ride the unicorns into the supermarket and put our food on the table? I mean, where do they think our food is going to come from if we don't have water for irrigation?
It's not known how much water will be acquired through the buybacks or how much the government will pay for it.
The state's health system is undergoing a check-up to ensure the government's money is being spent where it's needed most. The probe's first hearing was held today, where main themes from public submissions were presented. Emily Francis joins us now. And Emily, what did we learn?
Well, Maddie, marking the state's first health funding review in decades, leading health professionals highlighted the need for reform. A joint report tabled today outlined that the current model is leading to poor health outcomes for older members of the community, and it's being felt the most in regional areas.
But they're living with a much heavier burden of disease, and we've seen a real shift, apparently, towards chronic conditions over the last few decades.
Hearings will continue tomorrow with findings and recommendations due in August next year. Maddie.
Thanks for the update, Emily. Emily Francis reporting there for us tonight.
Police are renewing their appeal to locate a teenager more than a month after she went missing. Janet Mumisa was last seen walking along Doherty Place in Griffith on the 15th of October. The 17-year-old is described as being of Pacific Islander appearance, of medium build and approximately 150 centimetres tall. Anyone with information is urged to contact police or Crime Stoppers.
Still to come in 7 News, 16 days of activism to honour those who've died as a result of domestic violence.
And digging deep to make Christmas extra special for those who are doing it tough.
And a little later on, this news hour, the plan to keep an eye on released immigration detainees worth hundreds of millions of dollars. More prisoners exchanged on the third day of that temporary truce in Gaza. And over 100 protesters charged after overstaying their welcome at our largest coal port.
Welcome back. The Wurundjeri Lagoon has been emblazoned with white ribbons symbolising those who have died at the hands of family and domestic violence. It's part of the 16 Days of Activism campaign that started at the weekend. Members from Wagga Women's Choir launched the event with singing. Each ribbon represents one woman who's passed away this year as a result of family and domestic violence. In total, 54 names are displayed, but late Saturday, that number increased with another woman becoming the victim of domestic violence.
Everyone's being asked to speak out and to consider the ways that we can make our communities safe for girls and women.
We have to attempt to eliminate it, and only a community can do it together.
Residents are encouraged to visit the amphitheatre and take time to reflect.
An experimental jail system without cells where inmates are granted unique privileges will soon be expanded into some prisons across the state. And while it's unclear if the model actually reduces reoffending, correctional officers say they're reporting a drop in assaults between inmates.
Behind the wire at a maximum security jail. This is inside the Macquarie Correctional Centre in Wellington, where convicted murderers, violent offenders and drug dealers aren't in cells. Instead, they're living in dormitory pods.
Maximum of 25 inmates into one unit, no cells, and we have a very effective structured day routine.
A routine which includes working in woodwork, hospitality and engineering units, also receiving training in courses from music and computer programs to art. Privileges they are afforded if they abide by a no-violence policy, with inmates who conduct any acts of violence towards other inmates or staff being transferred to another facility.
So we have very few assaults as a result of that, which creates a good positive culture and environment for us to work in.
While there is no data yet that measures whether or not this model reduces reoffending, those inside the facility say its positive impact on both staff and inmates' safety has been significant. Born 6 years ago in one of only 2 rapid-built prisons in the country, the privileged model is set to be rolled out into a number of the state's correctional centres, including the Hunter, Lithgow and Long Bay.
No, I don't think it'll work for every prisoner, and I think that's just being real. But for those that do want to sort of make a change to the direction that they were heading in, this model certainly will work for those. There are other offenders that just aren't ready to take on this concept.
The innovative approach to incarceration, all designed to prepare inmates for life on the outside.
Residents or community members could feel or little rest assured that the person that gets released from here is actually equipped to deal with the demands of society and actually fit in as your neighbour next door without sort of having a negative impact.
Hamish Southwell, 7 News.
There's now only 4 weeks until Christmas, leaving just 28 days for charities across Wagga to rally support. From the Riverina Police District's toy drive to the truckload of love from one church, there's plenty of opportunity for locals to dig deep.
A quiet desk upstairs at Wagga Police Station, now the home of piles of toys. Riverina Police has launched this year's Christmas toy drive, providing toys for families doing it tough.
So we're supporting newly arrived multicultural refugees, our DV refugees, who provide support to families over Christmas who are fleeing DV situations.
Some of the donations will also go to Wagga Base Hospital's emergency department.
We're a 24/7 organisation. No one wants to end up in hospital at Christmas time, so having something there for the kids as a distraction technique or just to make their day a bit brighter.
Sporting goods like soccer and footballs are at the top of the wish list for donations donations.
We ask for donations from community members. They're welcome to drop them down here to the station.
On the other side of town, Together Church has launched its annual Truckload of Love. Its community has started purchasing boxes, each one representing a donation of $30. The grand total, usually in the thousands, is destined for a local charity.
We try to select ones that don't get much recognition or funding from the government, and the organisations we choose are ones that are grassroots, really in there helping people at that family level.
As always, a number of local charities such as the Salvation Army and St Vincent de Paul are running their local Christmas appeals, collecting food, funds and presents for those in need. In a year where the cost of living has impacted so many, simple generosity could be the greatest gift this Christmas.
It's only a small thing that we can do, but something's better than nothing, and we want to be able to be an answer to the problem.
Samantha Costin, 7 News.
Well, up next in 7 News, rain plays havoc with local cricket matches.
And junior basketballers converge on Wagga for a 3-day event.
Tomorrow on Sunrise, solving Australia's doctor crisis.
We'll show you how your family can skip the 5-week wait for a GP and be bulk billed guaranteed.
See you in the morning.
Welcome back. We start with basketball tonight, and junior players from across New South Wales are converging on Wagga for a ferocious 3x3 competition. The fast-paced Champions League basketball event put the pressure on, creating the ultimate learning environment for young players.
Saturday's onslaught of wild weather was barely on the radar for young basketballers as they sweat it out at the PCYC in another round of Champions League basketball. The competition was fierce as the 3x3 games got underway at 10 a.m. Riverina-based juniors took on teams from across the state, Wagga hosting teen players from Sydney, Illawarra and the wider region. Fast-paced matches were the feature of the day. Some hoops missed, but plenty meeting their mark. A nail-biter for Wagga Heat and the Strikers as they surged neck and neck through the 10-minute game.
The Strikers are now level to score 3-all.
A showdown between Savannah Pride and the Fruit Hoops producing an impressive display of hoop action. 23 points scored in a matter of minutes.
Fruit Hoops taking the 15.
Pride taking a clear early lead, downing the Hoops 17 points to 6.
That is game, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
The Champions League event gave up-and-coming basketball stars the opportunity to hone their skills in an effort to boost the talent necessary to pursue the sport at a senior level. Samantha Costin, 7 News.
Rain has wreaked havoc on Wagga's cricket competition as players waited to see if games would actually get up over the weekend. Stormy skies and saturated fields resulted in a delayed start for all games. Clubs were forced to spend the early afternoon pumping water from the grounds before play could get underway. The late start certainly worked in South Wagga's favour though, as they took on St Michael's at Robertson Oval. The Blues chased down the 100 wickets needed for a victory. Captain Joel Robinson was pleased with the outcome after the side went down to Wagga RSL in round 6. Saturday's wet win has surged South Wagga up the ladder to now sit in second place behind Wagga City. To softball now, and round 7 matches were cancelled over the weekend to prevent damage to waterlogged pitches. The Wagga Softball Association broke the news on Facebook early on Saturday morning as wet weather erupted across the city. SWW Premier was scheduled to take on Turvey Park Red at French Fields. Turvey Park Blue were scheduled to travel to Albury to take on the Comets, but no results were recorded. Up next in 7 News, Kirsty's back and she's got a look at what's happening weather-wise over the next few days. That's next.
Good evening, everyone. We are expecting wet weather across most of the state this week, all thanks to two wet weather systems linking up. A trough is currently stalling in the New South Wales northeast, while tomorrow a second low pressure trough will move into our eastern states. These systems are set to merge, generating widespread and potentially significant rain for some before moving southwards towards the southern coast as we track into Friday and for our weekend ahead. We are expecting accumulated rainfall totals of well over 100 millimetres, particularly for our central and our southeastern regions. Severe thunderstorms could develop and bring isolated heavy rainfall totals, and both riverine and flash flooding is possible as the week progresses. An initial flood watch is already in force for that risk of minor flooding across our region developing from Wednesday. First, though, if we move to tomorrow's forecast, cloudy conditions about in the morning, showers developing across the day, becoming heaviest in the early evening. 20 millimetres, but as much as 50 millimetres of rain could fall across Wagga and the wider Riverina region, along with that chance of severe thunderstorm activity that could bring those pockets and bursts of heavy localised rainfall. Temperatures around about the mid-20s. Showers will increase, tending to rain for the middle of our working week, with those thunderstorms around 20 to 45 millimetres on the forecast at this stage. A lot of that falling overnight and into the morning. Heaviest falls look to be in the south. It does look like through Wednesday our biggest risk will be heavy rainfall if those storms become severe once again. Cooler temperatures, Cootamundra dropping to 23, the same for Hardin and in Tumbarumba, with a cooler wind out of the southwest. Into Thursday, we will start to see a bit more of this unsettled weather easing. Rainfall totals dropping back to no more than just 1 or 2 millimetres, and we should see the return of some scattered sunshine. A cooler breeze once again, though, and those temperatures remaining about 2 to 3 degrees cooler than average. Looking ahead, well, our final weekend, a week I should say, of spring could bring dangerous storms, some very heavy rainfall through Tuesday and Wednesday. The start of December on Friday and into the weekend, much more settled. Plenty to be looking out for over the next couple of days.
Yeah, there sure is heaps of rain about this week,
rain,
Kirsty.
that's right.
Thank you.
And that's your local news for tonight. Thanks for watching. You can catch up on our website or, of course, 7plus.
Right now, Dan's got your national news. Enjoy your night. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.